Hey, World History. Welcome to Unit 1, Lesson 6 Bronze Age, Babylonia, Anatolia, and Assyria. Learning targets. Students can identify important developments and results of the Bronze Age and also to identify where and basic characteristics of the Assyrian Empire. Your job, you're going to watch this Ed puzzle answer the questions. Any questions that's in blue text is going to be questions I want you to answer directly on the Ed puzzle. Make sure you're also following along with your study guide because any concept in red text is going to be important and you should write it down in your study guide. And of course, if you have questions, please email me. I am here to help you. So last time we talked about Stone Age, we talked about Çatalhöyük kind of bringing human civilization in to more of a metal age. So we talked about beforehand with the Stone Age, there was two phases, the Paleolithic, which was 2.5 million to 8,000 BCE, and Neolithic, which was 8,000 to 3,000 BCE. Now today we're going to talk about the Bronze Age, which was 3,000 to 1,000 BCE. So the Bronze Age, this really first occurred in the Middle East, China, Greece, between 3000 and 1000 BCE. With England, for example, starting at about 1900 BCE. So the thing when we talk about these ages, right, it's not like all of a sudden, like everyone woke up one day and they were in a different age. No, these technologies spread over time in place. So it took a while for other locations to get these technologies versus others, such as England, who's on an island, so it's a little bit harder to get to them. So these civilizations had the furnaces, tools, and materials to create the bronze. If you've never seen a blast furnace before, by the way, here is an example of what an ancient blast furnace would look like. So you can see these bellows right here pushing air into the furnace, which makes the fuel even hotter. So here's a question for you. Where is bronze mined or found within the world? Yeah. So if you're taking chemistry this year, look at the periodic table. Can you find bronze? No, you can't. It's because bronze is not its own metal. It's actually made out of a mixture of tin and copper. If you don't know what tin looks like, it looks like this. It's kind of this dark silvery material. And the copper here, this is a little bit oxidized, but it's typically kind of like a reddish color, but when it's oxidized, it turns kind of like a blue color. So ancient tin, so this right here, would be found in something called the Zagros Mountains, which is this mountain range in the Middle East, as well as Southeast China and Asia. And then ancient copper was typically found in Egypt, which has the largest copper mines, but also other smaller mines from the Middle East all the way to China. So why would someone want to use bronze instead of stone? Yeah, first important thing is that bronze is a lot sharper. So it is sharper and better to use for things like farming tools, cutting tools, and also weapons. So if you have copper and tin ore, what other material do you need to melt them? Wood. That's right. You need wood to start that fire in order to melt these metals. But wait a minute. Let's pretend you're in ancient Israel. Ancient Israel doesn't have like any trees. So where are you going to get the wood? That's right. You're going to trade for it. Specifically, you're going to get that wood from places like Babylonia and Anatolia. So here's a map here. So if we're in ancient Israel, which would be about right here, and you don't have any trees, you would have to get ancient, or you would have to get wood from Babylonia, which is right over here by the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. All right. So Next up, we're going to talk about the region of Babylonia, which would be part of the Babylonian Empire. And we could spend the entire year on learning about the Babylonian Empire. And it's such an interesting empire to learn about, especially because it was so ancient and so big, but it's still prevalent today, even still now in the Middle East. Um, I'm not going to do Babylonia any justice of how cool it is. Like I said, we could spend a lot of time on it. So the Babylonian Empire is going to be this kind of pink shaded area. And you can see that it is right in the heart of Mesopotamia or the Fertile Crescent. It'd be what is now modern day Iraq. And it is located within the boundaries of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. So Babylonia was kind of like a city-state region within the Babylonian Empire. And the Babylonian Empire lasted from 1894 to 1595 BCE. Like I said before, it was between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, and its capital city was Babylon, which had about 200,000 residents. Wow. So Babylonia was really known for a lot of things. So I'm just going to list out a few of them, including large markets, trade between Western Asia, Europe, and Africa. So it was a huge crossroads between all those civilizations. It also had very detailed jewelry, like you can see here in the picture right here. Walled city. It had also irrigated croplands. It created something called the Epic of Gilgamesh, which I believe is one of the videos that you can watch for your next assignment, which was this awesome story. It also had sewers. Yeah, that's right. It had running water in some places, but also for human waste. Um, it would create something what we know now as the Pythagorean theorem. So, like the a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Is that it? Anyway, I don't teach math. I think that's it. So that like mathematical equation came from Babylonia. They also created time division by 60, which is what we use today, right? 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. Yeah, that's right. They created that. And it's also mentioned in places like the New Testament and the Quran. So here's some cool pictures of what ancient Babylonia probably looked like. There's also this like idea that there was once this like beautiful tiered gardens. You can see here it's a huge wall city with all these kind of moats. Here is a tablet that has the Epic of Gilgamesh on it, and of course, it had some really cool stone carvings. All right, next we're going to talk about Anatolia, or what is modern day Turkey. So Anatolia is super important because that's where Asia and Europe meet. So let's look back in the map right here. So here's Asia, right? Kind of on this side. And then here's Europe over here. So you can see right here, like here's Greece. So it's really kind of like the big land bridge between those two. It also had a super famous city called Troy. It also was rich with metal and mineral deposits. This is also the place where they grew a lot of grapes, which would equal wine. They also invented something called the pottery wheel, which made more high quality pottery. So if you're in a pottery class or was or wanting to be, pottery wheel, you can thank that for Anatolia. And also they improved the wheels for transportation, which meant that they could trade even more. All right, so next let's talk about the Assyrian Empire. So that's just going to be north of Babylonia. So it's in this green area here, still on the Tigris and Euphrates. So let's talk specifically about the city of Assur. So the city of Assur would be located right here. So that was their capital city. This is with modern day borders, of course. So it's located on the Tigris River, which is important because the river meant that there could be boat transportation. It was also the meeting point between Anatolia and Babylonia, right? Because Anatolia is up here, Babylonia is just down here. So it's the halfway mark. So they would trade things like metals from Anatolia, but also textiles. And when I mean textiles, I mean things like clothes, materials, and pottery from Babylon, and also tin from Iran, which is over to its right. So the city of Assur was really known for their large donkey caravans. What a caravan is a group of merchants transporting goods on the back of animals. So caravans could be like horses, camels, llamas. But for the Assyrian Empire, it was donkeys. And men would lead these caravans. So here's a question. So if the men were off of the caravans, who were running all the trade businesses back home? That's right. The women were the one who ran the businesses. So men could be off in Anatolia doing their trades for months, even years, and the women were the ones who were actually calling the shots on the businesses. So how do historians know this? So there has actually been houses that have been buried in dirt having these cuneiform tablets with letters written by these women to their husbands about what like how their businesses are doing. Here's an example picture of one. We're going to talk about what a cuneiform tablet is in right now. So a cuneiform tablet is the oldest known cuneiform, the language of cuneiform is the oldest known written language. It started about 2400 BCE. So if you zoom into the cuneiform tablet, this is what the letters look like. So the cuneiform symbols act like an alphabet. And it was used for multiple ancient languages, which is kind of cool. So cuneiform tablets can be fairly large. So they can be, I don't know, as big as, I can't even think of it now, I guess like a poster board. But they can also be teeny tiny, like you can see here, it just fits in this person's palm of their hand. So, cuneiform tablets are clay tablets used to write messages. So, during this time period, papyrus paper was around, but it's incredibly labor intensive to make the paper. And also, papyrus trees didn't grow everywhere. They typically grew right on the Nile. So, not everyone had access to it. So, cuneiform tablets was really the way to write down things. So, what you would do is you would take soft wetted clay, also a stylus, and you would write in your message. That clay would then harden as it dries. And of course, as you can see, it lasts for thousands of years. So let's wrap this up. Today we learned about Bronze Age Babylonia, Anatolia, Assyrian Empire, the city of Assur, and cuneiform tablets. Next up, you're going to do U1-L7 Ancient World Video Choice. So when you open up that Google Doc, you will see that there are 4 YouTube videos, okay? And under each YouTube video, there are going to be boxes with questions corresponding to the video. All you need to do is choose 2 of the 4 YouTube links to watch and answer the questions. And then optional extra credit. If you do watch all 4 videos and answer all the questions correctly, you'll get 2 extra credit points on your summative. But let me tell you, you need to answer every single question correctly or else you don't get those points. Then after U1-L7, you're going to do U1-L8, Hymn to the King's Document Analysis, which is where you're going to use the 3 main questions to analyze a historical document. If you do have questions about U1-L8, because this is the first time we're doing it, please let me know. I am so happy to help you out, okay? Again, if you have questions, please let me know. If you want to learn more, also let me know. There's the weekly check-in, and then there's the optional extra credit Constitution Day Ed puzzle as well. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.